What's up, Mets fans? Welcome back to another live stream right here on Talking Mets with Rob. Some more breaking news, a little bit more imminent at the moment. Pretty good chance Trey Mancini could be a Met by tonight, according to, let's see, what do we got here? Let's see what we got. This is what was said from two sources, actually. A Mets and Orioles trade surrounding first base slash outfielder Trey Mancini and right-handed pitcher Dylan Tate is being discussed and could be completed as soon as tonight. So that's where we are at the moment. Again, we don't know who would be in a deal for this type of trade. I'm assuming maybe a Dominic Smith. I don't know. But I'm going to check out Dylan Tate stats. Let's see. Well, not bad, actually. All right, so this would be a very interesting information trade. If Dylan Tate is in this trade with Trey Mancini, I like this trade a lot more, and I'll tell you why. 41 games this year with the Baltimore Orioles. Again, he's in the NL East, which has been one of the better divisions in all of baseball, and they got the Yankees in it. He has a 2.40 ERA in 41 games, 45 innings pitched, 39 strikeouts. So a little less than a strikeout. You got about a strikeout per inning. So that is interesting. If we can get Dylan Tate with Trey Mancini, I like this trade a little bit more than just Trey Mancini alone. So once again, guys, welcome back to Talking Mets with Rob. If you missed the first live stream about an hour and a half ago about the Mets being the finalist with three teams to acquire Wilson Contreras. Now, if the Mets get Trey Mancini, I don't know if Wilson Contreras is still on the table, but hey, you never know. I take both of them. Why the hell not? So I'm just looking at a little bit more information before we get into it a little bit more. All right, so there's a little bit more information coming out that Cionel Perez, the lefty from the Orioles, will also be in this trade. So Mancini, Tate, and Perez, that would be an even better deal. Let me just get a little bit more about Perez. All right. Again, too many people keep on thinking about we need upgrade at catcher. Offensively, we need to upgrade at catcher, not defensively. And I said this when we were talking about during the live stream for Wilson Contreras. What I was talking about with Wilson Contreras is that the Mets don't need to upgrade defensively. The Mets need to upgrade offensively in the lineup. Not necessarily needs to be a catcher. You can live with Tomas Nido as a really good defensive catcher if you get Wilson Contreras or Trey Mancini as an upgrade for your offense. The reason why people are focused on catcher is because we got no offense at third base and no offense from the DH spot. Contreras, yes, would provide a big bat. But that doesn't mean that we necessarily need a good defensive catcher because we don't need that. Not saying I wouldn't want Wilson Contreras. That's crazy not to say that. But when you really think about it, guys, Trey Mancini makes sense because the DH is a black hole. That's why Trey Mancini is on the Mets radar and possibly could be getting him. So I'm going to look at Cionel Perez's stats, the lefty from the Orioles. So here we go. Look at this, guys. Cionel Perez, 5-1 in 38 games, a 1.41 ERA in 32 innings with 28 strikeouts. So once again, a little under one strikeout per inning. So if the Mets can get Mancini, Perez, and Tate, so they'll get a right-handed relief pitcher and a left-handed relief pitcher who have been really good this year for the Orioles, and you could put them in the bullpen. Well, now the Mets got a lefty in the bullpen that's been very good for the Orioles, who has a 1.4 ERA, and along with Tate, who has a 2.4 ERA. That's good additions. And now this makes, if we can get Tate, Perez, and Mancini, this trade makes a lot more sense. Now, what we have to give up, who knows? Looking into it right now. I'm checking Twitter as we speak, guys, so don't mind me. I'm trying to get every little information we can actually get. Let me just see. Let's see what else we got. Let's see. Some people that are upset that if Trey Mancini is the big bat, Epler should have a real problem being in this organization. I agree. I know Trey Mancini isn't a bad option. Obviously, he's going to be better than Dominic Smith or J.D. Davis. But again, is that really the big bat we need? I don't know. I really don't know. All right, so Travis Blankenhorn has just been cleared, and waivers have been sent back down to AAA Syracuse. So that actually leaves a spot on the roster as well, which would be interesting. So this trade could be happening by tonight, guys. So that's very interesting. There's no information regarding the Trey Mancini trade of who the Mets are giving up. I doubt it's Beatty or Alvarez or Mauricio or Vientos or Alex Ramirez. I don't think it's that. I don't think granted, you have controllable arms that could be coming back in this trade in the bullpen. So that might cost you a little bit, but I don't think it's going to cost you too much. So Joe says, my friend, an Oriole fan, he thinks we're giving them at least one of Alvarez, Beatty, Mauricio, Ramirez, or he won't take it. Well, yeah, I don't know. Now, again, I'm going to look at the contract for the bullpen arms, because if the bullpen arms if they got a couple of years on their contracts, if they're on the rookie deal, let's see. Sorry, guys, just give me a second. Let's see. All right, so he's making so yeah, he got a couple more years left on his contract because he's in a rookie deal. So Dylan Tate and I believe Perez has also got a couple more years. So you're going to have controllable relief pitcher arms for that would come in the Trey Mancini trade. So that's going to cost you a little bit. Now, I don't think it's Beatty or Alvarez warranted, but with Trey Mancini, he does have a mutual option for 2023. Again, he don't have the power numbers like he did in his career. Hitting around 20 to 25 home runs. Could he hit around 17 home runs for the year? Yeah. Again, it's going to be an upgrade offensively compared to Dominic Smith or J.D. Davis. Again, I wouldn't be surprised if it's J.D. Davis or Dominic Smith a part of this trade. It gives them a controllable piece that can start right away on their team. And maybe you might have to give up a Vientos or an Alex Ramirez. Like I said, if it's Dominic Smith and Alex Ramirez, your number 4 prospect for the 2 relief arms and Trey Mancini, I'm not going to go crazy over it because Dominic Smith is useless on this team, and Alex Ramirez is about 2 years away, maybe 3. And he's been raking in the minor leagues. Again, I don't think Trey Mancini is the complete answer, but if we can get those 2 arms, Celino Perez and Dylan Tate, who has been excellent for the Orioles in the bullpen, and get those 2 arms, putting them in the 7th and 8th inning in front of Edwin Diaz is a 1-2-3 punch that is going to be very hard to beat in later innings. So again, Trey Mancini isn't the best option, but when you also have Vogelback, who crushes right-handers, and Trey Mancini, who crushes left-handers, I'm okay with that. Now, again, the Mets just can't do this. Even if they get the two arms in a bullpen, are they still looking to do something else? The Mets rumors have been going flying in the last 4 hours. With Wilson Contreras, the Mets were one of three teams that are finalists for Wilson Contreras. Now, again, are the Mets going to be still in Contreras and be a favorite to acquire Contreras? If they acquire Mancini, are they doing completely everything? Are they doing both? Because if they do both, that's big time right there. If you put Trey Mancini and Contreras in this lineup, that is a really good lineup. And then you can get those two arms from the Orioles as well. That's possible. Now, again, Josh Bell, if you guys haven't heard the news, the Mets are out on Josh Bell. According to 2 or 3 reports, the asking price for Josh Bell is a little bit reasonable from the Mets' perspective. So at that point, I don't think the Mets are going to go back towards Josh Bell. Again, if they get Trey Mancini, Josh Bell is obviously out. But are they still looking to upgrade the catcher situation along with upgrading another bat? Now, if you can fix the offense with the DH spot with Vogelback and Mancini, that's a good platoon. Because, again, Vogelback crushes right-handers, Trey Mancini crushes left-handers. And you can find a way to get Wilson Contreras and put him behind the plate and add his bat to that lineup with Trey Mancini, Alonso, Lindor, Canna, Marte, Nimmo, McNeil. That's a very good lineup. Now, I don't know if the Mets are going to do that. I don't know if they're keeping their options open and whichever trade happens first, they'll do. Now, again, I'm in between here because it's just the fact that you heard what Billy Epler said. You heard the Mets organization came out and said in the press that Alvarez is not ready defensively to be up here every day. And yes, his bat might do well offensively as a DH, but you're not going to stop his progression defensively as a catcher and learn and progress more as a catcher by having him up here and being a DH every day. This ain't a Michael Conforto situation who you can throw him in right field and needed that big bat like we needed that bat to provide a spark in 2015. Alvarez wasn't at the level Michael Conforto was coming out of the minors. So you're talking about bringing up a young catcher who's going to have to catch a veteran rotation with the pressure of hitting in the big leagues because this team needs him. It doesn't make much sense to bring up Alvarez at this point. If that was the case, you should have done it 4 weeks ago. But he hasn't been hitting in AAA. So until he hits in AAA, I know he hit the grand slam the other night, but let's be honest. Don't screw up his progression when the Mets can easily make trades that can better this lineup and still keep probably their top 3 prospects in their system. So that's where we're at right now, guys. According to a report, the New York Mets are on the verge of acquiring Trey Mancini and possibly 2 bullpen arms in Celino Perez, the lefty, and Dylan Tate, the right-hander, in the Orioles bullpen. If the Mets can get those 2 bullpen arms, Dylan Tate, 2.40 ERA in 41 games. Celino Perez, in 38 games, a 1.4 ERA in 38 games. That's 2 big arms added to that bullpen that could be in front of Edwin Diaz in the later innings to help this bullpen out. And you can get Trey Mancini. Again, there's been no word of what the Mets are going to give to the Orioles. I keep on refreshing Twitter to see if you get anything. But at the moment, the report was the Mets can acquire Trey Mancini possibly by tonight, along with maybe one or two of those bullpen arms. Again, this trade makes more sense if you add the bullpen arms with Trey Mancini. Again, Trey Mancini isn't the big power bat this team necessarily needs. And Mancini is not in the lineup for the Orioles tonight. So clearly, trade discussions with the Mets and probably other teams, most likely the Mets, because they've been the most aggressive to acquire Mancini. And Mancini is not in the lineup tonight. So it's clear when a player is not playing tonight, when there's trade rumors happening, the trade conversations have been progressing enough where a deal could get done by tonight. That's why Trey Mancini is in the lineup. That's another reason why I went live to bring the news, because when he's not in the lineup, that means the conversation has been getting a lot more progressive, and it could happen fairly shortly. Well, Victor, technically, he has 1 year left on his deal in 2023, but it's a mutual option. So if the Mets get Trey Mancini, there's an option for $10 million to keep him for another year. So he's technically not a rental, even though the Mets can make him not be a Met next year. But I would assume they would pick up the $10 million because Trey Mancini is only 30 years old, going to be 31 next year. So it's a possibility that the Mets would just pick up the option and keep him another year. Again, he's not a terrible bat. He's a good bat. We're going to go with excuse me. I'm going to look again. I was looking at it earlier. His stats. Again, his power numbers are down from his career. And yeah, exactly. Trey Mancini was one of the up-and-comers when Buck Showalter was the manager. Well, he's good. Now, he has a 268 average, which is pretty good. You know, hovering around 270, which is around his career average. So he's hitting well. He's played in 86 games, so he played in a lot. 332 at-bats, 374 plate appearances. His strikeouts are only 80, which is not bad. He's going to strike out probably 100 times this year, which is pretty good. His on-base percentage is 345 this year, which is the highest of his career since his first year up in 2016. His OPS is 749. Excuse me. He has 9 home runs with 37 RBIs. So his home runs are down every year of his career except for the pandemic year where he didn't play in his first year. He only played in 5 games. So every year in his career, 24 home runs, 35 home runs, 21 home runs. So he's on pace right now to hit about 18 home runs. So he's a little under his career home run mark. But again, he's another bat. Now, again, I know people are talking about, he's another player like we have now. A good hitter, but not power. True, Hebrew. I understand that. But you throw him in the DH spot, he has 8 more home runs than J.D. Davis and Dominic Smith combined. He has a 68-point higher average than J.D. Davis and nearly 80 points higher than Dominic Smith. So he's already improving the DH spot. Now, you don't necessarily need a power hitter at the DH spot. You need a guy to drive in runs. And I do believe he would be able to do that. I guarantee you'll have more confidence in Mancini at the DH spot with runners on than you would J.D. Davis or Dominic Smith. I think we can all agree with that. So I honestly think that it's not a bad trade. But again, if we can get one of those arms in Perez or Tate from the Orioles to help out bullpen, I like that trade even more. Possibility that 2 of the arms, Perez and Tate, could be in that deal. Again, that might cost us a little bit more prospect-wise, considering that they're under team control for a lot more years. And you also have a chance of getting Trey Mancini for another year. So again, it's not Juan Soto, but it will be a difference. You'll see it right away. Trey Mancini is a professional bat. The DH spot has been nothing less than a major league bat this year with Smith and JD Davis. And then what also you have to remember, you also have Vogelback, who is very good against right-handed pitching. So you can platoon Mancini. He can play first base, giving a little bit of a breather for Pete Alonso at first base. He can occasionally play the outfield if you want to give a guy a day of rest. And yeah, Grant, and the Mets are also finalists for acquiring Wilson Contreras. Again, if the Mets somehow pull off Contreras and Trey Mancini, that changes the lineup 100%. And I would be confident in Trey Mancini with runners in scoring position rather than Dominic Smith or JD Davis. Mad Mike Sports, how you doing? So the two, give me 1 second. So Michael Mayer, Jesse Rogers, and give me 1 more second. There was one more person who tweeted it. Let me just give you the proper information. MLB Nerds, who is an actual, he already was one of the guys that was the first one to get the Vogelback information, and that's why I took him as a nice source, because he was the first one to put that rumor out there that the Mets were interested in Vogelback, and then everybody else took it on as their own. So right there was 3 guys so far that actually talked about it, and I'm going to check Twitter again just to see if there's any more news about Trey Mancini or Contreras. There is some Yankee news, which is interesting. But we don't care about... All right, so here we go. So, let's see. Trey Mancini. Keep on going. Give me 1 second, guys. Let me just double check. I don't want to, because there's a lot of people out there that put, that could be, burner accounts and trolls that's to put nonsense out there. But I'm just looking just to be safe. All right, so I don't see nothing yet. Michael, I think it was Michael. I'm sorry, I forgot somebody that said it. Something about Twitter. Joe DeLuca. What were you talking about on Twitter? I'm sorry, I missed your comment earlier. MLB trade rumors. Yeah, I keep on looking at check marks just to be safe. But I'm just gonna. Let me just see what we got here. All right. So I just want to check Twitter just to make sure we got. Okay, nothing. Okay. Let's see. What else do we have? So, at the moment, there's a possibility of the Mets acquiring Trey Mancini by tonight. That is a possibility. It could also be included a bullpen arm or 2. And if it is Perez and Tate or Tate, either one, I honestly think that makes the trade a little bit more better with Trey Mancini. Let's see. So the hot stove is heating up, guys. Possibility of a deal with the Mets and the Orioles to acquire Trey Mancini and a possible bullpen arm or 2 to the Mets. Yeah, again, Mancini, he battled cancer. We all know about that. I think it was testicular cancer 4 or 5 years ago, if I'm not mistaken. So, again, it's not Juan Soto. And Juan Soto was always a pipe dream. So, honestly, I'm not going to be I don't think it's Mancini's a Wilpon move. You know what, the Wilpon move would have been Vogelback and nothing else, honestly. That would have been the big move. And they would have told you how good he is. Again, the Mets are in on everybody that can possibly be available. Gavin, you're not going to get Batista. I know I did. I put up that trade rumor about a week ago. Batista's on the team control. He's the Orioles closer. You're not going to get him. I'd love to get him. That would be amazing. But not Batista. But Dylan Tate and Celinio Perez, the lefty and the righty. Tate has a 2.4 ERA in 41 games. In 38 games, Perez has a 1.41 ERA in 38 games. So these guys are legit bullpen arms. If the Mets can get even one of them, it's a help to the bullpen, along with Trey Mancini. I like that trade a lot more. But again, it all depends on what we're giving up. We'll see. Now, David Robinson is an option too. But there's a lot of teams after David Robinson. So that might be hard. You don't want to overpay to get Robinson because there's going to be a lot of teams going after him, and you don't know what other teams are offering. Yeah, again, I honestly think Hebrew with Billy Epler. I don't think Epler wants to give up too many prospects, and I think that's the reluctance, Mike. And you said it. Mike, I think with Soto and Bell, I think the Nationals are going to charge a premium to the Mets because you're in division. I don't think it's Epler saying, no, I can't give you that guy or I can't give you this guy. I think Epler's willing to do it. But if the Nationals are just coming up with crazy packages, like 5 out of our top 10 prospects, plus an everyday player like Dominic Smith, that's a lot to give up for Soto. Yes, you'll have him for 2 years, but you don't completely wipe out your farm system just like that. But again, it's very early into the trade deadline, to the trade rumors and everything like that. If he gets Contreras and Mancini, again, I'm not the biggest fan of Contreras. I like his bat. I do not like his catching abilities, which scare me a little bit. But if you get Contreras' bat with Mancini and you got Vogelback to platoon with Trey Mancini, I'm not going to go crazy, but you have to get bullpen arms in those trades. If you get Wilson Contreras, Robinson better be in that deal. If you get Mancini, you better get Perez or you got to get Tate, one of those bullpen arms. You can't get just those guys alone because that makes no sense. Because that means you're giving up for a catcher that might not be good behind the plate and might not work well with our pitchers, but his bat might play. Yeah, if they get Epler, Contreras, and Mancini, what can I complain about? But if they get Contreras and Mancini, there better be a bullpen arm in one of those two trades. Because, yes, we help out the lineup, but we still have no bullpen. So, when it comes to Trey Mancini, is it an upgrade at DH over Dominic Smith and JD Davis? 110%. Do I want Mancini as the bat? If I had a choice, I'd rather have Josh Bell. But unfortunately, I don't think Mike Rizzo of the Nationals is making it easy for Epler to acquire either Soto or Bell. Mike Rizzo, the GM of the Nationals, might say to the Cardinals, hey, I'll give you Josh Bell for your number 12 prospect. But when he talks to Epler, he goes, I want Vientos, or I want Alex Ramirez, or I want Mauricio for Bell. I'm not giving up a top 5 prospect for Josh Bell, who's a rental, who's a good bat, but I'm not giving up a top 5 prospect for him. That's insane. And Josh Bell became a better overall hitter, average-wise, but his power drastically went down. I'd rather have Josh Bell bat 230 and hit 25 home runs, 30 home runs, than Josh Bell now, who has 10 home runs and is batting 300. Now, again, that seems kind of stupid, but when a team like the Mets who need power, I don't trust Josh Bell because it is kind of weird how Josh Bell is good now, knowing that he's probably going to get traded. and all of a sudden he changed his whole way of hitting when he was always a power hitter. I do like the fact that Josh Bell is a switch hitter, which helps, but in no way, shape, or form I'm giving up a top 5 prospect for Josh Bell. Now, what I would do for Trey Mancini and a bullpen arm is give possibly a Vientos if I get 2 of those bullpen arms that I was talking about in Perez and Tate, because they're controllable and they're one of the better arms. Apparently, they're available to get. And if it's just Mancini, Dominic Smith can be in a deal with a lower level prospect. Ethan, I just saw that. Sorry, I wasn't trying to copy. That was what I was thinking of. Look, listen, I already said it. I would do it for Soto. Honestly, I would. I would go all out for Soto and then figure out a bullpen arm that way. But again, I don't know what the Nationals are asking for from the Mets. Mike Rizzo can ask the Yankees and the Cardinals for their 3, 4, 5, 6 prospect, but when they talk to the Mets, I want you 1, 2, 3, 4 prospect. Again, I probably would still do it, knowing that the Mets had the best draft class according to MLB Pipeline. They were ranked number 1 to help replenish that farm system quickly. But again, I don't know. I think Mike Rizzo is trying to ask more for the Mets because they're in division than to other teams. And I don't blame Epler for backing off that a little bit. Not saying he shouldn't do that. You could take probably Patrick Corbin's contract and make it a little bit easier, but that doesn't mean Mike Rizzo is saying take Corbin's contract and I'll take Alvarez off the table. He might say take Patrick Corbin's contract and I still want you top 4 prospects. I'm not going to do that. I'm not taking on $50 million of Corbin's contract and giving you 4 top prospects. It's not happening. Well, Quinn, if Wilson Contreras trade is possible and the Mets are going to acquire him, David Robinson is probably going to be in that deal. Or at least I hope so. Again, the same thing with Trey Mancini. I like the trade more if they add one of those 2 arms I talked about, or possibly both. But when it comes to the Mets and Josh Bell, it's probably not happening. CJ Cron, I do not like him. His splits are terrible outside of Coors Field. So Trey Mancini is another option that I'm not going to be mad about. He's a better back than Dominic Smith and J.D. Davis. He's a more professional at bat. His OPS is pretty good. His on base is pretty good. He struck out 80 times this year and 300 and close to 400 at bats. So that's not terrible. And let's not talk about Trout. It's not happening. Ohtani's probably not going to get traded. I doubt that. But I'm going to refresh Twitter one more time before I hit the road. Let me just check. Hold on. Let's see. Let's see. See if we got any more news. All right, at the moment. All right, guys. So nothing over the last 15 minutes of anything of importance. Again, keep on looking out for the possibility of a Trey Mancini to the Mets happening later tonight. That has been the rumor that's been pouring out on social media. So, again, Trey Mancini to the Mets could happen tonight. Possible 1 or 2 bullpen arms. Names that I've heard was Perez and Dylan Tate. 2 arms that the Mets could really need in the bullpen. 1 a lefty, 1 a right-hander. We'll see. So, once again, guys, thank you for tuning into this breaking news that we just found out about a half hour or 45 minutes ago about Trey Mancini possibly happened tonight. And there's been no word that the Mets have been out on Wilson Contreras. So, there's still a possibility that the Mets could trade for Wilson Contreras and Trey Mancini and possible bullpen arms in one of those two trades or both of those trades. So look out all night on social media for those one or two of those trades happening. Maybe Mancini could happen first, and then Wilson Contreras, we will see. But the Mets are in on everybody that is possibly available to talk about. And that's something new that Mets fans should be happy about. In years past, Vogelback would have been the big trade in the Wilpons era. Now we're in on everybody. So once again, guys, I really appreciate everybody tuning in to the second live stream about the breaking news. First, Wilson Contreras, Mets being 3 finalists to land him, and the possibility of Trey Mancini being a Met by tonight, and possible bullpen arms in one of those trades or possibly 2. Once again, guys, thank you guys for tuning in. Have a good night, guys. As always, Met fans, let's go Mets. Have a good night, guys. Let's make those trades.